Hello and welcome. This is Notibot ENG. In a tumultuous day of global news, leaders are finding themselves at odds over war, trade, and power. The United States and Iran remain locked in conflict, with tensions escalating in the Strait of Hormuz. Meanwhile, China's economic influence extends far beyond its borders. We'll take you through the latest developments on these pressing issues, including a diplomatic spat between Trump and Germany's chancellor, the impact of Iran's war on the global economy, and what it means for overseas buyers. Let's get started. In a tense exchange between world leaders, former U.S. President Donald Trump has fired back at Chancellor Olaf Scholz of Germany over comments on Iran. Good evening. I'm your name, and this is your news recap for today. We have a developing story that sparked tension between the United States and Germany over Iran's nuclear program. Earlier today, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz made headlines by saying that Iran was humiliating the U.S. in talks to end the war in the Middle East. However, President Donald Trump has hit back at Merz, criticizing him for his comments. In a tweet, Trump wrote, "The Chancellor of Germany, Friedrich Merz, thinks it's okay for Iran to have a nuclear weapon. He doesn't know what he's talking about." Merz had previously accused Iran of undermining U.S. diplomacy, but his comments on the nuclear issue seem to contradict that statement. It appears that Trump is taking Merz's remarks as an endorsement of Iran having a nuclear weapon. This exchange comes at a time when tensions between the U.S. and Iran are already high. The U.S. has been pushing for tougher sanctions on Iran over its nuclear program, while Tehran has resisted these efforts. Germany, as a key player in European diplomacy with Iran, is often seen as a voice of reason in these negotiations. The spat between Trump and Merz raises questions about the level of coordination between the U.S. and European allies on this issue. It also highlights the challenges of negotiating with countries that have differing views on nuclear proliferation. As the situation continues to unfold, it's worth noting that Iran has repeatedly stated its commitment to not developing nuclear weapons. As tensions between Iran and its regional adversaries continue to escalate, economic pressure may be becoming a crucial turning point in the ongoing conflict. The economic front in the U.S.-Iran war has reached a critical juncture, with average gas prices in the U.S. soaring to their highest level since the conflict began. The Strait of Hormuz, which Iran controls, is a crucial waterway for global oil supplies, and Washington's decision to increase military presence in the area has significantly raised costs. According to data from the Department of Energy, the average price of regular gasoline in the U.S. has reached $4.18 per gallon, up from around $3.40 at the start of the conflict. This represents a significant increase, with some states seeing prices as high as $5 per gallon. The crisis point on the economic front is largely due to Iran's stranglehold on the Strait of Hormuz, which has significantly raised shipping costs and disrupted global oil supplies. The U.S. has responded by increasing its military presence in the area, including deploying additional troops and naval vessels. The situation is further complicated by ongoing negotiations between the U.S. and Iran over the country's nuclear program. While both sides have expressed a desire to reach a deal, talks have been stalled for months, with no clear resolution in sight. The economic costs of the war are mounting, with many analysts warning that the conflict could push Iran into recession. The stakes are high, with the U.S. and Iran locked in a bitter dispute over energy security and global influence. As tensions continue to escalate, the economic front in the war is likely to remain a critical factor in determining the conflict's outcome. As tensions between major world powers continue to simmer, a fragile ceasefire in one strategic hotspot raises questions about stability elsewhere. The recent U.S.-Iran ceasefire agreement has sparked debate over its significance in resolving tensions between the two nations. According to reports by the South China Morning Post, the deal aims to reduce naval clashes and ease some restrictions on Iranian shipping, but experts argue that it falls short of a lasting resolution. The agreement, reached after weeks of high-level talks, involves the U.S. and Iran agreeing to cease hostilities in exchange for certain concessions from Tehran. However, critics say that the blockade on Iranian oil exports remains a major point of contention. The maritime restrictions have had far-reaching consequences for global energy markets and the Iranian economy. One key figure who has spoken out against the agreement is Admiral John Aquilino, commander of U.S. Central Command. He has stated that the blockade is war by another name and must be ended if diplomacy is to succeed. Aquilino's comments echo those made by other senior officials in Washington, who argue that a comprehensive solution to the crisis requires more fundamental changes. For the ceasefire agreement to become genuine diplomacy, two critical areas need attention. Firstly, the restrictions on Iranian oil exports must be lifted. Secondly, there needs to be greater cooperation and transparency between the U.S. and Iran over security issues in the region. Until these conditions are met, experts warn that tensions between Washington and Tehran will continue to simmer, posing a threat to regional stability and global security. A significant shift in global trade dynamics is unfolding as China's reported export restrictions on a key industrial commodity take center stage. Reports have emerged that China plans to ban the export of sulphuric acid, a crucial chemical used in fertilizer and battery production, taking effect in May. This move has sent shockwaves throughout the global industry, with foreign firms expressing concerns over potential disruptions to their supply chains. China is currently the largest exporter of sulphuric acid, accounting for 45% of last year's nearly 10 million tons shipped from Asia. The country's export value of sulphuric acid reached $290 million in 2023 and has since increased to $349 million in 2024, making it a significant player in the global market. The main destinations for China's sulphuric acid exports include Chile, Indonesia, Saudi Arabia, Morocco, and India. These countries are major producers of fertilizers and electric batteries, which rely heavily on sulphuric acid as an ingredient. The United States is also a significant importer of Chinese sulphuric acid. Analysts say that the ban will have significant implications for the global supply of sulphuric acid and prices. The Gulf military conflict has already disrupted shipments in the region, with prices rising due to the blockage of the Strait of Hormuz. Now, the potential loss of China's exports adds another layer of uncertainty. China's move is seen as a strategic attempt to become a linchpin in the global trade of sulphuric acid and other critical metals and chemicals. However, this comes at a time when foreign firms are already struggling to cope with supply chain disruptions caused by the conflict in the Gulf. As tensions escalate with Iran, a new low in public trust for one of America's most divisive leaders has been reached. According to a recent Reuters Ipsos poll, President Donald Trump's approval rating has hit its lowest level yet, standing at 34% of Americans' support. This decline marks a significant drop from his previous peak in January 2025, when 47% of the public approved of his performance. The deterioration in Trump's ratings is largely attributed to concerns over the rising cost of living and the ongoing U.S.-Israeli war on Iran, which began on February 28. The conflict has sparked widespread protests and economic instability across the Middle East. Rising fuel prices have further exacerbated the situation, making it increasingly difficult for ordinary Americans to cope with the consequences. President Trump's administration has been accused of exacerbating the crisis by taking a hardline stance against Iran. The U.S. has launched a series of airstrikes on Iranian targets, including military bases and infrastructure, while also imposing crippling economic sanctions. Critics argue that these actions have only served to destabilize the region, creating more problems than they have solved. The war in Iran matters because it has far-reaching implications for global politics and economies. As the conflict continues to escalate, the U.S. and its allies are likely to face increased pressure from the international community. The rising cost of living and economic instability at home also pose significant challenges for Trump's administration, as Americans struggle to cope with the consequences of a prolonged conflict. That's all for today's recap. We'll continue to bring you updates on these developing stories as more information becomes available. Thank you for watching. If you want to stay up to date on the latest news, be sure to subscribe to our channel and follow us on social media. We'll see you in the next video.